Worst foods to eat, what are they and why? Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg with Wellness for Life, and if you'd like to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything. So when you try to get healthy and when we have our nutrition program that we do in our clinic, people often really have no idea of what good food or bad food is. So we're going to go over that. And what we're trying to avoid primarily are sugars, meaning refined sugar. Sugar occurs in nature in the form of fruit and vegetables, but when we process it, then we screw it all up. Hydrogenated fats, these are man-made fats. Those are frankenfoods. They're plastic. They have no place in the human body. They are altered molecules that your body does not recognize, and they become poisonous to your body. White flour is flour that they have removed the germ which holds all the nutrition, so you're just left with the starch. So it keeps forever, but it has no nutrient, no food value. And chemicals, of course, those are things that interfere with your body's biology. So the worst thing about sugar is that it stimulates insulin and it drives inflammation. And the same thing with white flour. The others don't drive insulin, but they're poisons for other reasons. So if we were to pick the absolute worst food, and I'm excluding things like they're a pure poison like arsenic and plutonium and so forth, but something that people think of as food and that people eat on a regular basis, I think the absolute worst food ever devised would have to be donuts, because it has all four of these categories that we're trying to avoid if we want to be healthy. It is made of sugar, hydrogenated fat, white flour, and chemicals. So do yourself a favor and stop eating donuts. Next, worst on the list is soda, because it has no nutrients and it is extremely addictive. It is pure sugar. It drives up your blood sugar like crazy because there's nothing to slow down that sugar uptake. And because of that, it's going to drive your blood sugar up. It has no nutrition and it's extremely addictive. You can't really tell how much you're drinking. It's so easy to have one after another, after another, after another. Number 3, margarine shortening. These are the hydrogenated fats. They're man-made fats. They are probably the worst idea since artificial sweeteners and just industrial toxins. 4, ice cream. Very bad combination. It is pasteurized dairy with sugar. So now you have the sugar that drives insulin and inflammation, but you also have the pasteurized dairy that most people are sensitive to, so you combine the two and you have a really bad combination. 5, cookies and cereal. This is almost the same thing, even though people think of one as a bad vice and the other as a healthy breakfast food. Well, they're really the same thing. They are processed flour and sugar. Then they add some chemicals, some artificial flavors. They sprinkle a few synthetic vitamins and pretend to make it healthy. But this is all man-made sugar foods with lots and lots of chemicals and allergens in them. So avoid cookies and cereal. Number 6 is any kind of processed food, any packaged food that has a lot of sugar, starch, chemicals, artificial flavorings. They've taken food, they deplete all the nutrients, they nuke it, they bleach it, they chop it up, and now it has no flavor, so they have to add chemicals and flavor enhancers and color enhancers to make it appear to be food, which it of course is not. Number 7, chips. Because chips are typically made from potatoes or corn, which is a pure starch, and then they fry them. And frying, the fat in itself isn't necessarily bad, except the fat that they use to fry with has to be processed. It has to be hardened or bleached or neutralized in some way, because if you use a healthy oil like extra virgin olive oil, first of all, it has too much flavor. It imparts so much flavor on the chips that you probably wouldn't be able to eat them. Most people wouldn't enjoy them. But also in the process, to heat something to that high of a heat, you destroy the oil. So they have to start with a bad quality oil in order for it to tolerate the heat, and now you're imparting all of that bad stuff into the chips. So it's all starch and low quality toxic oils. Number 8, bread and pasta. Now we're back to all white flour. It is processed. They have taken the nutrients, the germ out of the food. And of course, now you still have the starch that drives the blood sugar and the insulin and the inflammation, plus most people are sensitive to wheat. Number 9, pasteurized dairy. Dairy is not a bad thing per se, because we are mammals. We are raised on mother's milk from day one, or we should be, and all the other mammals on the planet are as well. But when we pasteurize it, now we change something that was a good food into a terrible food. We change the protein structure, we kill 100% of the enzymes and the beneficial bacteria that would have helped us digest it and process it. So not only can't we process it, but they've also altered the structure of a lot of the proteins and the minerals and absorbability and all that. So if you can get raw milk, I think that's okay for most people, but pasteurized dairy you want to stay away from as much as you can. The good dairy are good quality cheeses, if you can tolerate them, and fermented dairy such as yogurt and sour cream. Number 10, luncheon deli meats. So here you start with usually a pretty poor quality meat, something that's been raised in a factory, been fed chemicals and hormones and grains, and then you add chemicals and flavorings and preservatives to it. So it's not to say that deli meats can't be good, because it could, if you start with good meat and you don't add chemicals and a bunch of sugar, you just kind of smoke it and prepare it, however, cook it, then deli meats could be a good thing, but for the most part, they are highly processed and full of chemicals, so be very careful. Number 11, farmed fish. So fish is a wonderful food in and of itself, but farmed fish are extremely unhealthy. They are fed the worst absolute food you can think of. They're fed chemicals and hormones, and they're so sick, their meat has no texture and no color, so they add artificial colors to the feed to make them look like they were healthy. So fish you should eat wild caught, find out which ones don't have so much mercury, find out which fish are healthy in a wild state, and eat those on a regular basis, but stay away from farmed fish. In our dozen of foods to avoid is grain-fed beef. So again, meat, fish, chicken, lamb, they're all healthy if the animal was healthy. But the way the animals are raised today in mass production facilities, in factories with thousands and thousands of animals under one roof being fed artificial things and hormones, they're so sick they have to have antibiotics and chemicals to even survive long enough to be slaughtered. That is not a healthy animal. So again, find the grass-fed, find the grass-fed meats, whether it's lamb or beef or chicken or anything else. It needs to have had a healthy life, a natural life where it ran around in its natural environment. So these would be pretty much in the order, and again, the list is not complete. You could probably find other things and throw in between, but I just want to give you an idea of what are the absolute worst categories of food and which foods contain the things that you want to avoid. And then you start cutting these out in that order. But what's important is once you cut something out, you have to put something else in, because you can't live in deprivation. There are so many foods that are satisfying. There's so much good food out there, but you have to change your habits to figure out what they are. So when you take something out, you have to put something else in. Otherwise, you feel deprived, which is not sustainable, and then you're going to go back to the terrible things that got you sick in the first place, and then you didn't really gain much of anything. So change gradually, take the bad stuff out, put some good stuff in, make sure that you are satisfied from the food. Hope you enjoyed this little information, and if you like this kind of content, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can keep getting this content coming your way. And please share all of these videos with as many people as you can, because this is the stuff that saves lives. Thank you so much for watching.